And let's get the first piece of work out of the way. So it says, list the first 6 signs of the zodiac, keywords, ruler, element, and quality. And let's list them in order.
Aries.
Okay. Come on. Oh, why doesn't this decide to work? There we go. Okay, yeah. Keyword?
I am.
I am. Ruler?
Mars.
Bars. Element?
Fire.
And quality?
Movable.
Movable.
What comes after Aries?
Taurus.
Keyword?
I have.
Ruler?
Venus.
Venus.
Element?
Earth.
Earth.
Quality.
Fixed.
6.
Next.
Gemini.
Gemini. I think.
I think. Ruler?
Mercury.
Element?
Air. Mutable. Cancer.
I feel. Moon.
Water. Movable.
Leo.
I have.
Rule.
Sun. Fire. Fixed.
Fixed.
Virgo. I analyze. Mercury. Earth.
Mutable.
And look at there. Fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth. So Libra is
Libra.
Libra. What element is Libra?
Air.
Air.
And what element is Scorpio?
Water.
Okay. What quality is Libra?
Movable.
And what quality is Scorpio?
Fixed.
Fixed. When we're doing them in the order in which they appear in the zodiac, you're always going to follow fire, earth, air, water, and you're always going to follow movable, fixed, and mutable. Okay, and what is a decanate? How many decanates per sign?
3.
No.
Oh,
okay.
what is a decanate?
3 decanates per sign.
It's
10 degrees.
10 degrees.
Section.
Actually,
You have to identify a section of what?
of
You
the
already
sun.
answered
this-
it. Of a sign. Okay. Now, we're matching the characteristics in column A this one over here, to their tarot correspondences. So movable signs
Aces, twos,
refer
and
to
threes.
what?
Aces, twos, and threes.
Yep, okay. Earth signs are
Swords.
swords, that's right, yeah.
Of course.
Earth signs are would go with swords. Water signs go with
Ups.
cups.
Coins.
Mutable signs are,
The sevens, eights, and nines.
yep, that's it. Okay, fire signs are,
Scepters.
fixed signs,
4, 5, and
Fours, fives,
6.
and sixes.
yeah, and there's only one left. Air signs are coins. Okey-doke. What elements do the suits of the minor arcanum represent, and what are their areas of influence? So what are give me a suit. They go with which element?
Fire.
And what do they talk about?
Life.
What part of life?
Stripe.
No, not strife.
Because they're the trinity of life. Is that what you're asking?
No. Okay, let me give you one word.
Business.
There we
Oh.
go. Okay, give me another suit.
Cups. Cups.
Okay. And cups are,
Water.
Water.
and they talk about,
Emotions. Wishes, hopes. Hopes and wishes.
not necessarily. You would think so. Hopes and wishes are more the purview of another sign. Another element. But this is okay.
Coins. Air.
What else do we know about air signs?
Social.
There we go. And it's coins, so it's also
Money.
and the air signs also talk about something else that's really
Mental activity.
there we go. And the last one,
Swords.
swords.
Sword.
And it is
Earth. Practical.
yeah, well, this is, not struggle as being oppressed, because it is earth, and you do struggle to till the land, you do struggle to go to work. It's not an oppressive kind of struggle, but it is something that requires industry and discipline. So these are Okay. What is a symbol you can read? It's not coming out of my mouth tonight. This
Cardinal?
word. Thank you. Okay. The first, okay, the first decan of the sign. Remember, when we're talking about decanates, we're talking about the influence of two signs within an element. So the first decanate of a sign is what?
Same sign.
Yeah, is the sign. The second decanate is,
The next sign in the same element.
but next sign how?
In
quality.
order.
Is-
Yeah. Yep. In the zodiac.
And
Yep.
the third sign is,
Then. Yeah.
so,
okay. Whoa, you guys are paying attention. My goodness. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, I've got some chats here. There we go. Thank you, Clifford. Thank you, Michael. Okie dokie. Okay, Jade, sorry, yes. Jade, I think Jade had to leave. Her kid is sick. Her child. Her kid. Poor woman. Okay, so now let's get another share. New share. And you know this one. So Astrology 101. If you had time during the last week, you read 78 and 78 and 79. Because today we are covering Libra, which is a cardinal air sign. It is the second degree of emanation. So it does consider what other people have to say or think before before the natives of this sign choose to do something. It is a masculine sign. It's an air sign. Are all air signs masculine?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, what other element is masculine?
fire.
Okay. Wonderful. Oh, God, you're paying attention. I'm so flattered. Yeah, okay. So, it's masculine and it's eye balance. And sometimes people like to, I know that when I was first learning about Libra, something that stuck in with me was that they were indecisive. And it's not that so much, is that they are, that they have so much to look at, because it is an air sign and they are mentally facile, mentally limber. They have to look at everything and consider everything. So it at times it could take them a little bit longer to come to a decision, depending on all of the information they're using at their disposal. So they rule. These are the parts of the body that they rule. And certainly you're welcome to copy this down. And all of this information is in the handouts that are available on Google Drive. You see that I have highlighted, because these things are extremely important for Librans: socializing and partnerships. Those are very, very important ideas for Librans. Also, Libra is the marriage sign of the zodiac. Libra in a natural horoscope would, well, in order of appearance, what number is Libra?
7.
7. And so that means that it would rule which house? It
7.
would naturally fall in which house? The 7th. It would naturally fall in the 7th house. And the 7th house is the house of marriage and partnerships, associations. They're not submissive. They are fond of the arts, of course, of socialization. Libra is ruled by Venus. What other sign is ruled by Venus?
Taurus.
Taurus, yeah. And Taurus is what kind of sign? What's the element for Taurus?
Earth.
Earth, yeah. So Venus in Libra expresses differently than Venus in Taurus. Venus in Taurus is more concrete material. It's a fixed earth sign. Whereas Libra is an air sign. It is mentally oriented. It enjoys those types of activities. It loves entertainment. They love cocktail parties. Just sit and talk. They like to get dressed up. They're a different kind of refined than Taurus. Taurus Venus is looking for comfort, whereas Libra Venus is more refined. It's not necessarily any more elegant. It just expresses a little bit differently. Although they can be easily influenced by others, they are a cardinal sign. And cardinal signs many times want to be boss, just because that's them. And each cardinal sign expresses themselves differently in each element. So air signs like to be smart. Earth signs are practical. And if you want to get the most out of it, that's what you do with Earth. Water signs will love you first. And air signs are just out there. Fire signs, excuse me. Fire signs are just out there. The woman, my niece, who shared with me that funny that I shared while we were waiting for more people to come in, is an Aries. And I love her dearly. And in speaking with her, there are lots of things about which we agree. And lots of things that, I look at her and I am amazed at how solid she seems with herself. And that's Aries, how secure she seems in herself. Also, my sister did just such a wonderful job raising her. So that has to do with it too. But anyhow, in fire signs are more assertive, are different kind of assertive. So now we're going to go to the deacon. Oh, and in the Sacred Tarot, Libra is represented by a court card, and that is the Queen of Coins. Now, this is the court cards are the only cards in the Brotherhood of Light Tarot that mean something slightly different if they're right side up or reversed. If they're right side with a queen, if it's right side up, it means a female of a Libran temperament. It doesn't necessarily mean a Libra person, but somebody who has the temperament and characteristics of Libra. And reversed, it's talking about a male of the Libran temperament. Okay, so the first decanate of Libra will be, oh, poo.
Libra.
Libra, yeah. Oh, I lost my notes. Oh my God, there it is, okay. Yes, it's Libra, so let's go there. Oh, but first, you know, from spiritual astrology, when they talk about Libra, and as I said, it's the marriage decanate of, it's the marriage sign. It says, not by one alone may the highest of all be reached, but by two united souls who are exalted by the sweet reverberations of holy love. That initially said that if you don't, to me, when I first read it, if you don't find your soulmate, you're doomed. And that's not true. It's just that holy love can be expressed between friends. And holy love can also be expressed with a partner who is not necessarily your soulmate, but who walks the same path and can assist you. So I am a recurring member of Weight Watchers. And one of the things that they say is that, you know, we're better together and you do more together. And that's in essence what this is saying as well. So now the first decanate of Libra is Libra. Talk about serpents and policy. This symbolizes the marriage of winter and summer, because Libra brings in the autumnal equinox. And it's the equinox, just like the spring equinox, there's a balance. Although the spring section of the calendar and the zodiac is longer than the winter section. Anybody have an idea what that might indicate?
Say that again, please.
Summer is longer than winter. How come?
Because the days are longer. I don't know.
Yeah, the days are longer, but that's not, yeah. But even with the days being longer, there are more days in the summer season than there are in the winter seasons. 176 days in winter, 179 days in winter, and 186 in summer, in the summer half of the year. It symbolizes more opportunity for good than for evil. Yeah. Okay. So serpents, what does a snake generally symbolize?
Knowledge, wisdom.
Yeah, what else? A phallus. So it's a symbol of, it's another symbol of virility. Again, you know, my feminism is going to rear its head because it's, you know, it's a symbol of creativity. Again, it's the marriage sign. We're talking about Isis unveiled, the number 3 in the major arcanum, marriage of sun and moon. It's also a time to reflect, because the Jewish holiday of Rosh Hashanah occurs during this time. It's the marriage of opinions. So it's time for people to consider things and to compromise. And in a compromise, both people have to give something. And in a good marriages, both people have to give something. When one or the other becomes selfish, it creates an imbalance in the relationship. So in matters of philosophy and in matters of action, the true course usually lies somewhere between advocated extremes. And traditional marriage is between male and female. I mean, even marriage of other partners, there is an extreme in there somewhere. And it requires compromise. It requires careful analysis of whatever and working together, each contributing to the other. Now, since this is a cardinal sign, what card in the major arcanum will represent the first decanate of Libra?
In the minor arcanum or the major?
Yeah, no, in the minor arcanum.
You said major. Okay. Ace of
Oh,
Cups.
thank you. Okay. What card in the minor arcanum is associated with the first decanate of Libra?
Ace of Coins.
The Ace of Coins, right. And since it's an ace, it's also influenced by what card in the major arcanum?
The Magus?
The Magus, yes, or Magus. And the Magus is ruled by because all of the aces talk about a message. So the Magus is ruled by Mercury. So the Ace of Coins has the influence of Mercury, Libra, and Venus. And this is, hand in hand with what Libra wants to do. It talks about will and dexterity and mental will, mental dexterity. It talks about short journeys, money made from the sale of writing something in communication, social contact, friendly conversations. That's what we're looking at in serpents, and it's because it is serpents, and it symbolizes the phallus and part of sexuality. It's also looking at creative energy because it's ruled by Venus. This is Venus twice. Venus is looking at the finer things in life, art. It's also looking at possessions, what somebody has, and values. Art. And all of the arts, then art, music, theater, television, movies. So the next decanate of serpent, Libra, will be, what's the next air sign that appears in the zodiac?
Aquarius.
Aquarius. So here we're talking about Aquarius. And the story in spiritual astrology is the battle with the dragon. Oh, I like that. So there's Krishna in India and George in the West who battled the dragon. From Revelations 20, it says, "And I saw an angel come down from heaven, and having the key to the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosed a little season." So independence from oppression. One of the other stories in this section of the spiritual astrology talks about a damsel in distress, saved by the sun. No, the moon is saved by the sun. Okay. The dragon is a symbol of ruthlessness and oppression. And so in order to combat that, you're looking for independence. And that independence is certainly a lot of the Aquarian influence. So here you see, it says, deal justly, even with thy enemies, for it is better to suffer evil than to retaliate with vengeance. Because when you retaliate with vengeance, you can count on it coming back like a mirror. One piece of advice that's given in the books is that if you are being influenced negatively, that instead of fighting that negativity, you take and direct your attention to something positive. And that's what we're looking at here.
Vanessa, what are
Yes.
the dates for these? I put September 23rd, is that right? To start on the first deacon to October?
You really want to put me on the spot, huh?
I know.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm guessing.
Libra is September 20. Where did I put that piece of paper, David? 21st to October 23rd. So maybe it's September 23rd to October 23rd. Yes, it is September 23rd to October 23rd. The first decanate of Libra is September 23rd to October 3rd. And the decanate we're now looking at is October 3rd to the 13th.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for keeping me honest. Now, surprisingly enough, Libra is exalted in Saturn, which is a co-ruler of Aquarius. So it's taking all of that mental energy and focusing it toward independence. Since this is the second decanate of Libra, it is going to be influenced by the second card of the major arcanum, which is Isis veiled. And we're looking at the two of coins. The second Isis veiled is ruled by Virgo, so there's going to be a practical influence in this decanate of Libra. Since it's Libra and Aquarius, those two come into play. Venus rules Libra, and both Saturn and Uranus rule Aquarius. And your Uranus wants independence. It can be eccentric and unpredictable. But Isis veiled rules science. And you know, this sign, when you're doing a science experiment, you follow certain procedures, so that somebody else who's looking at the same thing that you're looking at can replicate your work. And that's generally what happens in science. They do the experiments or they work on the theories a second time in order to verify it. So since we're talking about coins, we're talking about a certain amount of independence, money earned, using ingenuity to make progress, and a profitable partnership or marriage. This is not necessarily marriage for money, but it just so happens that the partnership or the marriage in this decanate lends itself to being profitable. Again, this decanate of Libra is from October 3rd to, oh, I misspoke. Did I misspeak? To the 13th.
Yep.
No, this is a typo in my notes. Now, Librans are the social butterflies. Then they're a bit more refined and reserved. You know, they're not the party animal that Leo is, but they do like to be around people. They do like to socialize. But in that, they want to be their own person. They want to use information creatively. And the last decanate of Libra will be Libra what?
Gemini?
Yes, Libra Gemini. Now, the air signs tend to like each other better than the other signs because they think so quickly. Yeah, and all of the air signs, they're zip, 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 zip with their information. What is Mercury? If you don't see it anymore, but certainly when I was a child and I had an opportunity to bring a thermometer and try to pick up the mercury, you put your finger on it and it's going off in another direction. It's very hard to gather up mercury. And the air signs, Mercury, Uranus, and Venus. So Libra is a more down to earth of the air signs. However, it's still a mental sign. They approach love. It has to nourish them intellectually as well as in other ways. So the last decanate of Libra is Libra Gemini. This talks about expiation, not wasting your time. To refrain from ruthlessness. To be aware of false prophets. And the story that goes with that is the story of Little Red Riding Hood, who had to deal with the wolf. What big eyes you have, the better to see you. What big ears you have, the better to hear you. What big a voice you have, the better to speak to you. And what big teeth, the better to eat you. However, fortunately, the woodsman was around and was able to come to Little Red Riding Hood's aid and slew the wolf. So certainly beware of false prophets, a wolf in sheep's clothing. They will present themselves. And because this is the more intellectual, because Mercury rules Gemini, and because they look at all things so rationally, not necessarily practically, but rationally. This is a sign where it's necessary to develop sympathy and compassion. and to use your intelligence for the benefit of all and not to exploit others. Because it manages to come back and bite you in the butt. So it is impossible for a man to injure another without himself being injured, or for a man to benefit another without himself being truly benefited. So we're looking at the 3 in the major arcanum, which is Isis unveiled. And Isis unveiled is ruled by Libra. So the 3 again is a Libra, Libra. 3 of coins is Libra, Gemini, Venus, and Mercury. So making a rational approach to Venus. An intellectual approach to love, which without sympathy and compassion makes it difficult. This is a 3 card, and 3 is the number of marriage, is another number of marriage. Gemini is the marriage or partnership sign. So marriage and partnerships, it can be a social partnership, a business partnership, an affectional partnership. But that's this sign. It can talk about success in selling, a marriage for money, profit from a partnership, and a blend of social and mental activities. So what's the next thing we're going to talk about when we're talking about Libra?
The house?
We're going to talk about the house. And since Libra, what number in order of appearance is Libra?
7.
So Libra rules the 7th house in a natural horoscope. Again, you use a natural horoscope with Aries on the cusp of the 1st house at the ascendant, and following all of the other signs around, going counterclockwise from the ascendant, when the birth time of the native is unknown. So when the birth time of the native is unknown, there leaves lots of room for doubt. Because the signs may not be in the house they would be in if you knew the birth time of the native. So if Libra is on the 7th house, on the cusp of the 7th house or the descendant, what is its relationship to Aries on the cusp of the 1st house, the ascendant?
Opposite.
It's opposite. Yeah, it's opposite. So these opposite signs can either clash or, working intellectually, balance each other out. I once took a class with a woman who was trained in Europe. I don't know if I said this before. And as she was introducing each sign, she made it clear that each sign builds, each succeeding sign builds on the sign that came before. So Aries is the baby. Aries is the beginning. And well, you talk about the terrible twos. Mine, me, Taurus. And they get a little older, they get to Gemini to start to think. And then they start to feel. And now they want to be boss. They're going to rule. And then they start thinking about things again, because that ruling thing didn't always work out. And then at the 7th house and with Libra, they realize you got to have friends. So the 7th house is in the house, a trinity of association. It is an angular house, a companionship house. It is above the horizon and it's on the west. What does it mean when it's an angular house? How does it express?
Strong volume.
Yes, in a strong volume. Okay. And with it being above the horizon,
Public.
it's in the public eye, yeah. And it's on the west. It's in the west side. It's on the west side of the chart.
So it's influenced by the environment.
It's influenced by the environment. Is it oppressed by the environment? No, no. It's just that it has to consider the environment before it moves forward. So things of, gee, it's Libra. So the 7th house is talking about relationships, other people. It also talks about social events, church, strongest influence of others, open enemies. You will see these people coming. So something it's in the 7th house you'll just see them coming. If it be somebody or something of a Libran temperament or Libran influence. If Taurus were on the cusp of that house, an open enemy would be somebody who has a Taurian bent, an earth bent, also Venus. Because although it's the house of partnerships, it's also the house of dissolution of partnerships. Let's see. I'm gonna have to pretend with this. I have it right here. So again, to review, Libra is ruled by Venus. Libra is an air sign. It is a cardinal sign. It is male. So although refined, it is assertive and aggressive. As a cardinal or movable sign, it is a pioneer. Likes to be first. Ready for Scorpio? Scorpio is such an interesting sign. Scorpions would rather die than be vulnerable. And that just shows how sensitive they are. People are very proud to say they're a Scorpion because they think they're the sexiest people around. You know? Well, they do. If you ask anybody, if, you know, and they tell you they're Scorpion, you know, they say, oh, well, you know, I got it going on in this area.
I'm married to one.
Oh, who is?
I'm married to one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well.
You are so
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it, babe. Just touch me and you'll shiver. But, yeah, and the Scorpion has two symbols. It's both the Scorpion, which is associated with treachery and vengeance and deception, and the eagle, which, similar to the phoenix, flies to great spiritual heights. So Scorpion is generally battling both of these characteristics. Scorpions are very aware of themselves, and they can be very critical and vengeful, but their criticism of themselves is even worse. And they put on a good front. So it is a water sign. It's a fixed sign. It's a second degree of emanation. So they're always looking at what's going on with other people. And they are good at identifying your weaknesses and going in for the kill. Because their philosophy is, I'm gonna get you before you get me. As one of the fixed signs, it's one of the four corners of the world. Only the fixed signs hold the world, or hold our existence, because it provides a sense, a piece of stability so that we can go out and explore other things. It's our tether to reality. The fixed signs are tethers. They can also be very stubborn and immovable, but they provide a sense of security. In spiritual, this is the Scorpion and the eagle when the Scorpion grows wings. And tell the story about the Scorpion. The female is the larger of the beast. And when two Scorpions meet and they're the one for each other for that moment, they can stay and look at each other and enthralled for days. And then they finally go through the act. And once the female has been fertilized, she dismembers and kills and eats the male. And the man says, wait. And that's how Scorpions can behave. Scorpio is ruled by both Mars and Pluto. And Pluto is the ruler of the underworld. When Pluto was discovered, gangsters held sway over the country. And machine guns massacred people. With their machine guns, they massacred people. So a Scorpion has a great propensity, because of Mars, for violence. But they're doing all of this to protect themselves. Scorpions are very sensitive. But when they decide to step over and behave as the eagle is a symbol of spirituality, of the highest spirituality. What Scorpio also brings to focus is that the creative energy of sex. And, it doesn't condone or justify what's going on, but the most creative people like to dabble in or take the honey from as many flowers as they can. So, except for the orange one, I mean, he's just anyhow. But I understood what I could see what Clinton. He's a creative, intelligent person, and he needed an additional outlet for his energy. It's not the best outlet, but it was an additional outlet for his creative energy. And what we're talking about here is not suppressing that energy, but sublimating it and taking it and creatively directing it to something that's more constructive. Because taking that energy and just letting it go dissipates the power. And Scorpions can be very powerful. They just, they have a hard time acknowledging their sensitivity, which is just as powerful. Since Libra was the 7th sign in the zodiac, Scorpio is the 8th. It is represented by the Queen of Cups in the court cards. So right side up, it is a female. Reversed or upside down, it is a male of a Scorpion temperament. Scorpions either expressed as the lowest, no, they can not either, but they have the greatest range of highs and lows. They have a great range of highs and lows. They can be quite base or very altruistic, spiritual. Now, certainly that creative energy can allow them to develop psychic tendencies, that psychic abilities. So let's look at some of the characteristics. It rules the generative organs, procreative, strong emotions. And we want to look at this word down here, secretive. All water signs are secretive because they don't want to get hurt. And they're easily hurt. They can be easily hurt. So a water sign, it is important for a water sign to develop objectivity. So that when someone says something out the side of their face, they don't take offense to it. And from spiritual astrology, through sex, man contacts the inner planes, drawing into himself, according to his mood, the finest energies that vivify the spaces or the grossest forces from the fetid border spheres. They're not always, but Scorpion can be an either or. That's why they're so damn hard, difficult to get along with. They can be. They're not always, please. I don't mean to sway you with my prejudice. So the first decanate of Scorpio is Scorpio. And the story that goes with this is the man whom Jacob wrestled with. And that man with whom Jacob wrestled was sexual energies. And whether or not to repress them or sublimate them. If you have spiritual astrology, I suggest you go to page 168 and read that. It's a pretty lengthy passage, so I don't want to read it now. But sublimation of sexual desires is well documented by Freud. And from what I understand in psychological circles, he is not as great a source as he was when he first shared his ideas. Now, an example of the detrimental effects of repression is excellently illustrated by the Catholic Church and the priesthood. You know, it just takes a few bad apples, because not all priests are deviant. But the church has covered it up. And it can be said to come from the repression of their sexual desires, their sexual drive. Now, the idea of celibacy came from Peter, who was a misogynist, way back when, one of Christ's apostles. Which is also another actually feather in Jesus's cap. He chose people of different qualities, of different characteristics. And gee, how many people did he choose for his circle? How many people did King Arthur choose in his circle? 12.
Were there 12 knights of the round table?
There sure were.
Ah.
There sure were. But he saw marriage as detrimental to the dedication to religion. And therefore he requires celibacy of all the leaders, of all its leaders.
So was he a Scorpio?
I don't know what he was. The feast of St. Peter and St. Paul is in June. And whether or not he was a Scorpion or it's in June during the Son of Cancer. Who knows? But you don't want to repress a negative characteristic. You want to sublimate it and work with it in a positive or constructive way, so that it contributes to those around you as well as yourself. Continual kindness between the sexes generates a power by which the heights may be scaled. This decanate of Scorpio talks about resourcefulness, and the resourcefulness to direct the energy in a more positive way, to sublimate it, and not try to tap everything in a skirt or whatever flavor you prefer.
When does this one start?
This one starts October 23rd to November 2nd. So the major arcanum card that goes with this is the Sovereign. The Sovereign is Scorpio. So again, here we have another heavily influenced Scorpio decanate, or heavily influenced by its own sign. And we're talking about the Four of Cups, so you know it's going to really have some kind of affectional influence. This is Scorpio and Mars and Pluto, because Pluto is a co-ruler of Scorpio. Pluto is also a planet that has two opposite manifestations. It rules the underworld, and it also rules universal welfare. It rules coercion and cooperation. So the Four of Cups talks about an increase in the family, resourcefulness, enduring love, drastic tactics to gain a point or to gain an advantage, and exposure of a revengeful plot. Did I say that Scorpions can be very vengeful? They will lay in wait for you too. And remember that it is kind of selfish, but it's all to protect themselves. It's all to protect themselves. We have to continue on the second decade of Scorpio, because the next water sign to appear in the zodiac is Pisces. Is Scorpio Pisces. Scorpio ruled by Mars and Pluto. Pisces ruled by Neptune. So this is an area where delusion and illusion can occur. Scorpio has sway over death, the underworld. So we're also looking at an affinity for the astral realm, for death and astral entities and elementals. As I said before, when Pluto was discovered, gangsters held sway over this, certainly this country. Because it shares a symbol with Sagittarius, and Sagittarius rules religion and the law. We're looking at religion in this decanate as well, and with Scorpion in general. But because of the influence of Pisces, it can be delusional. Pisces like to look at things with rose-colored glasses. And something can seem that they can talk themselves into believing something that's false. So that's something that this decanate of Scorpio can be wary. This also talks about the difficulty between Cain and Abel. Cain worked with the earth, which certainly represents struggle and material interests. And Cain was more material, more base. Abel worked with sheep, and sheep are a symbol of purity, enthusiasm, and spiritual development. So Cain took his material self and struck down his brother, and then asked, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Which Abel could have very easily answered. He said, "Yeah." So because Scorpio in general has an affinity for dead things, the astral realm, and with the influence of Pisces, of not of looking at things through rose-colored glasses, you also have to be careful here of irresponsible mediumship. And irresponsible mediumship talks about, well, Scorpio in general, so does the next decanate of Scorpio, is when you allow an entity to control you rather than having a conversation with the entity and filtering it through your intellect. By sacrificing his animal thoughts, desires, and pleasures upon the altar of aspirations to higher things, man comes into possession of intellectual and spiritual pleasures that yield a far keener delight. So it's taking sensuality to a different level. Here we're talking about the Five of Cups. The major arcanum 5 is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant represents Jupiter. So this card, the Five of Cups from the Tarot, the minor arcanum, has the influence of Jupiter, Scorpio, Pisces, Pluto, and Mars, both rulers of Scorpio, and Neptune. The Five of Cups talks about good fortune and love, to hold your emotions in check, to have your emotions rather than let your emotions have you. Domestic illusions and rewarding psychic experiences. Oh, gotta hurry. Let's look at the third decanate. Scorpio, Cancer. Scorpio, Pluto, and Mars. Cancer, the moon. Pluto is the higher octave of the moon. So there's some deception in this decanate as well, as the moon fluctuates. There's high tide, there's low tide. There's new moon, there's full moon. A waxing moon and a waning moon. The sexual energy, along with the I feel of Cancer, allows you to build enough etheric energy to accomplish psychic goals. And again, yes, dear, I know. To guard against being controlled by those astral entities or elementals. The story in spiritual astrology is the adept's laurel crown. So being rewarded for some accomplishment. The dates are November 12th to the 22nd. And here we want to achieve mastery of creative energies. You will always be tested or tempted, but to remain faithful to your philosophy to God, so that you might receive the laurel crown. You are to be conscious of always contributing your utmost to universal welfare. And to transmute those energies, and not sublimate them, but to transmute them into some constructive path. In order to achieve the laurel goal, you want to have maximum service for the common good, and that requires getting knowledge of occult laws, developing the ability to use the occult forces, and to increase one's scope of usefulness. Men should be esteemed not because of their race, color, sex, or ancestry, but for what they have accomplished for the common good. The true monarch is he who renders greatest service to his fellow man. So all fixed signs are, the first decanate is a 4, the second decanate is a 5, and the last decanate is a 6 in all fixed signs. Because we're doing a water sign, we're talking about the 6 of cups. And the major arcanum, that is the number 6, is the 2 paths, and it talks about temptation. And whether or not you're going to choose the path of least resistance. So 6s are talking about choices. It's a double 3. 2 marriages. Which marriage is going to, 2 marriages are presented to you, 2 unities are presented to you. Which unity is going to provide the greatest good? Will assist you in developing. So this, the 2 paths is Venus. So are you going to succumb to hedonism? Or are you going to take and sublimate and transmute that energy? We're talking Scorpio, Cancer, Pluto and Mars, and the moon. So there's lots of sensitivity here, because we're talking about 2 levels of the moon, and the moon talks about affectional and domestic interests. And Pluto is the higher octave of the moon. Six of Cups is a love affair. Beware of the allure of vice. Carefully analyze your emotions. Again, have your emotions, don't let your emotions have you. And needless to say, it's easier said than done. And utilize your creative imagination. As Scorpio is the 8th sign of the zodiac, it relates to the 8th house in a natural horoscope. It is a trinity of psychism, as are all water signs in the trinity of psychism. That's 4, 8, and 12. It is a succeeding house. It comes after the Caden house. house of development. It's a fixed house. It's public because it's above the horizon and it's on the west side of the horoscope. The 8th house talks about other people's money. So these are financial advisors. Maybe. They can also be tax consultants. This is also the house of death. And remember that death isn't just the dissolution of the physical. It's also birth to something else. So it can be death of a venture, death of a relationship. It's also the house of inheritances. And take into consideration the characteristics of Scorpio, because those influence this house as well. I will feed you in a minute. What, you want to say hello? You gotta come up. Come in. Come up. Come say hello. No? She's not gonna come up. Insurance surgery is a Scorpion tendency. Because they like with Pluto, they like to look underneath. They want to get to the underneath. They want to get to that soft belly. And they'll either booster you or they'll cut you. So we've come to the end of today's lesson with 2 minutes to spare. Let me look at the chat. Okay. Oh, look at this. Who's this? Oh, Veiled Isis. Who's this? My goodness, Michael. So if you look at your chat, please look at all of the different, additional things that Michael has associated with the sign of Scorpion. They're wonderful things. And Libra. He's put in a lot of different things here. Very, very, very interesting, wonderful insights. Now, Michael, although you have Pluto as the ruler for Scorpion, Scorpio is Mars and Pluto. And more than, there are other signs that have dual rulers, but you have to acknowledge Mars with
Yeah,
Scorpio.
I'll put that in. I'll put that in next time.
Okay. Mars, it's very important. Because Scorpions can be combative. They are combative. I mean, you have to be in order to kill your lover. So anybody, any other questions?
Vanessa?
References for next week. Again, astrological signatures, serials 46 and 47. In spiritual astrology, serial 80 and 81. If you have time on the Sacred Tarot, you want to look at 7, 8, and 9. The Conqueror, the Balance, and the Sage. Minor Arcanum, the Youth cards. The Youth of Scepters and the Youth of Swords. When you're looking at the Court cards, we're going to get another cardinal sign next week. So you want to look at the Magus, Isis Veiled and Isis Unveiled, Ace, 2 and 3, and Swords. So it will be recorded, and you can go to light.org. You have to sign in and go to the student section, and you'll be able to see the lesson. You'll be able to repeat the lesson.
Vanessa,
Yes?
by the end of the class, can you give us a chart that has the dates associated with the deacons? Because I come from a Golden Dawn perspective, and you've said some dates that don't match the Golden Dawn dates.
I don't understand. Yes, I will do that, but I don't understand the Golden
So
Dawn.
from a tarot perspective, I come from
Oh.
Rider-Waite, which is Golden
Okay.
Dawn.
I got you.
And
Okay.
there are some different dates associated with the deacons in the Rider-Waite system than the dates you've given us so far.
Okay. So I say you want a chart of the deaconates
And their date ranges.
and dates. Okay. Sure. Not a
Thank you.
Not a problem. But yes, I will do that, and I'll post it to Google Drive. And everybody has access to Google Drive, yes?
Yes.
Okay, okay. Anything else?
Go feed your baby.
Thank you. Yeah. So as always, it's a pleasure being with you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you next week.
How about closing ceremony there, young lady?
Yes, closing ceremony. So yeah,
Vega, stop the recording.
yeah.